What's up, fellas? It's your boy Ryan J. I'm here with my wingman, Christian S. Valentino.
Yo,
you know him
what's
from
up?
the Ethan and Gila video. We want to talk about today how the game has changed since, what, 2008, 2010 when we met?
Yeah, I think it was around that time. So I remember we met through the meetup groups, or I don't know. What do you remember how we met first?
Yeah, it was like through that Craigslist thing that I did, like the Renaissance program and then the Vegas Lair.
Yeah, because I don't think I was there for that. Because I think around that time I was going on Meetup.com to do different like marketing business events, and then I remember running across the pickup, and you were running it at the time. You were like the chief. Was it the Lair chief?
Lair chief
of Las Vegas. So it was cool. Because I mean at the time, you know, I was already studying game, and I was probably 2 years and a half into it, and like the first 2 years of learning that stuff, I was just like learning the material, but I've never approached. And then by the time I met you, I was already good at like approaching, going very direct. But it's definitely a lot of good times.
That's dope. We ended up basically on the cover of Las Vegas 7 magazine right here. You guys can see it. And these are a couple of other guys that were in our group, and they did a story on us. And basically, I had started this group where, you know, a lot of people, they said, oh, why did you get into the game? And I was just getting over a divorce. I was with the same girl for 9 years, and we have 2 kids. And then when we split up, I was living in England. I ended up in Vegas. And, you know, all of a sudden I was 26 years old. I was broke. I was in a new city. I didn't have any friends. And I was just like, man, I got to rebuild my life. And I ended up in the self-help section at the Barnes & Noble. I ended up later with a book called The Game by Neil Strauss. I started spending like thousands of dollars on pickup and seduction material, how to seduce women. And I learned all these tricks, and it turned out that all that shit was like, it worked. A lot of my friends were like, man, that's just mumbo jumbo. But all of a sudden I was dating like 2-3 different girls a week. And I was posting pictures on my MySpace, and they're like, how the fuck, like, you're getting all these girls? Like, and I was like, well, I'm learning seduction techniques. And they're like, I want to learn these fucking techniques.
Yeah.
And so I got on PowerPoint, and I started basically making little PowerPoint presentations of what I was doing. And I was just putting ads on Craigslist, and people were showing up at my doorstep. I was charging $5. And then I ended up becoming like an actual coach. I turned it into a business. And, you know, I met Christian, I met the other guys in the group, and we ended up making a DVD, and the DVD went out. This is back in the old YouTube days, you know, before YouTube was a lot different back then too.
Yeah.
Cat videos and shit.
So actually, I remember, I forget exactly, but I remember somebody left a comment, and I actually knew I was pretty good at approaching at this point. So I remember somebody was having some kind of issue online. And I'm like, hey, dude, let me make you a quick video, and I'll teach you all this stuff that I know. And I made the YouTube video teaching this guy, and I think I sent you the link, and you saw that video, and then like through Facebook or something. And I think that's how we connected before we met in person.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was in 2009.
Yeah.
I was dating this bisexual chick she let me fuck her sister and shit. Like, I was having 3-ways. It was like dope. And I met him, and he was fucking, we went out, and I had never done what's called direct approach before. I was what's called mystery method, which is all about being indirect and hiding your intentions and coming in under the radar. Like, so like you might be at a sports bar and a girl sitting next to you. You might say like, I don't know, who do you think is going to win? The Jets or the Expos or like whatever the fuck kind of game is on. And you're starting a conversation, but you're not hitting on her, not like turning and being like, oh, like, you're so beautiful, something like that, where she knows what you want. And so I was playing this kind of coy game, and Christian was like, no. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, explain how you did that.
Because I mean, around that time, and just to give you a little bit of background on me, so the approach I ended up going with was very direct, very straightforward, and essentially it was just, my mindset was take it or leave it. So I would just let the women know upfront what my intentions were, and whether they're down or not, it's all good. Like, my mindset was, it's all good. Like,
it's all good.
Yeah, even if they reject me, even if they're like open up, and like I've had women when I go direct, like, hey, super random, but you are absolutely gorgeous, and I had to come meet you. You know, being like the women would light up sometimes, like, oh my god, like you just made my day, and like I fed off of that positive feedback, and that just became like a positive reinforcement. So the more good feedback I got, the more I wanted to do it, the more motivated, and the less fear of rejection I had. And I would still get rejected, you know, but just the thinking behind the rejection, I didn't let it hold me back. I didn't take it personal. I just said like, hey, this, to a certain extent, this stuff is a numbers game, and you just have to know up front that you're going to put yourself out there. You will get rejected, and as long as you don't take it personally, and you just kind of accept the reality, okay, she just rejected me, she's not interested, all good, on to the next one. And then, but I mean, just for before I even got into that space, and just to give you a little bit of feedback where I came from, so I remember I was a lifeguard at the Mandalay Bay, and I just graduated high school, and at that time, I think like maybe the first month or two after high school, I got my dream car stolen. It was an Acura Integra 1997 type. Like I had a Frankenstein swap, so I had a Type R head with a B18 engine, and it was just like everything I wanted in the body kit and everything was all import tunered out. And it was my dream car, and I, you know, before I had that car, I envisioned myself as like, once I have the car, once I have the six-pack, then I'm gonna get all the girls, you know. And but even though, you know, I became captain of the wrestling team my senior year, you know, I did have the six-pack abs, I did have that car, I saved up $5,000, bought it in California, brought it back, and I had all these external things, you know, that can essentially, you know, are peacocking, you know, you're making yourself high status in that environment, high school environment. But I was still very shy. I was still very introverted, and I still couldn't keep the women's attention. I was getting attention from women, but I just couldn't keep that relationship because I was just so awkward and shy. Even though I kind of had a little bit of a high status in that environment. But yeah, once I got my car stolen after high school, and I started gaining weight because I wasn't training wrestling anymore. I gained like 55 pounds, and I was just overweight. I had this huge gut, and then I lost my car, so I lost all my crutches at this point. And I remember one day I was over at the pool, and my supervisor, she mentioned, hey, yeah, there's these guys that were using these kind of like pickup lines on me, and they kind of worked, but they have this book, and it looks like a Bible. And I'm like, really? It's like, and these guys, you know, it's called, you know, it's a book on like these secret society of pickup artists, and they teach all these secret techniques, how to get women. And at the time when I heard that, I was like, really? Where are these guys?
Yeah, exactly.
So I went, like, oh yeah, but they're in front of the weight pool, they're sitting there, they have this Bible-looking book. And I'm like, okay, so I walked up to them, like, hey, what's up, guys? I heard you guys have this book, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, it's called The Game. You know, it's by, like, you know, it's a secret society of pickup. And in my mind, I visualized, oh, okay, yeah, these smooth dudes by the bar, like, they're super slick pimps or whatever. And I was like, okay. So I remember buying that book on Amazon. And once I got that book, I mean, at the time, there was a lot of stuff in there. It was an interesting, like, read, if you ever read it. Very interesting read. But there was a lot of stuff that contradicted my current values at the time. And you know, still some things that I don't do. Like, I mean, some of the things that I didn't like about it was, and it felt a little weird, was, you know, the routines stacks. So the routines, essentially, they would tell you, hey, tell these stories to women to make yourself, you know, higher status. And then, which it works to a certain extent, but a lot of the ways they were teaching routines, these stories that weren't your stories. Right. So essentially you're pretty much lying. Yeah. And that was against my values, and it was just like, I don't know, if it was a little weird. And a lot of the indirect stuff, it just felt awkward for me. And it was just, I felt like I was trying to remember too much stuff. Right. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to do all this extra effort. Like, I'm down to be disciplined and make it happen, but I just didn't want, like, I felt it was too much for me. So around that time, I studied a lot of different people, and I started noticing that there were certain guys that were very direct, very to the point, and just more natural. And they just kind of expressed themselves. They didn't have to memorize it in routines. They just went what was natural and like what it felt authentic and real to them. So once I got exposed to that stuff, I was like, okay, I'm gonna turn this into a habit. So every day, as a lifeguard, we had 10-hour shifts. So we'd work 1 hour, and then 30-minute break, 1 hour, 30-minute break, 1 hour, 30-minute break. And on those 30-minute breaks, I can just hang out with the other lifeguards, or I can just practice approaching women. So I remember I started approaching women, and I remember I knew around that time that it takes about 21 days to build a habit.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, if I approach every single day, by the end of 21 days, I'm going to build a habit of approaching women. So I started doing it more and more, and I remember the first time approaching women, I was so shaky, so nervous, and it was just like, but at least I did it. And then once I started doing it more, it just got more comfortable. I still felt jittery and nervous, but the more I did it, the easier it became. And then eventually, and I got some failures, some ups, some downs, but I just kept on it. And then, so once I started doing it more and more, it just became natural. And I noticed that, like, the fear, motivation that kept me from approaching was gone. And I had just the pleasure of wanting to approach. So it was just like, every time I'd see, like, a really attractive woman, I just felt this, like, innate motivation to want to approach. And I didn't have any fear anymore.
But the whole thing about, you said you were raised Mormon, and then like you had those religious locks, I guess, that were preventing you from.
Yeah. So, and this is something I actually just told you like recently, a few months ago. And back then, because eventually, like by the time I met you, I was already really good at approaching, but everything I was doing was within like that Mormon restriction. Because and even though I got really good at approaching, and then by the time I met you, they're like, hey, can you teach the guys how to approach, how to go direct? And I'm like, sure. So I started teaching, like, some of the stuff I've learned.
He taught me how to go direct, and it was kind of funny because I had always been by the book. And then it was like, he was kind of like, well, we went out, like the first time that we hung out, we were on the strip, and there was like this overpass right in front of a Planet Hollywood. And he was just walking up to girls left and right. He's like, hey, you're super cute. Like, we should change numbers or something like that. And he was getting numbers. And I was just like, yeah, exactly like I said, I'm doing all this fucking work. Doing routine stacks. I'm doing the best friends test. I'm doing like, pick a number between 1 and 4. I'm doing all this stupid shit. And he's just getting numbers, boom, 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 and blowing me out of the water. And I'm like, dude, I need to learn how to do this. But I didn't have the techniques right. Then there was this was the pivotal moment that kind of changed my life in terms of direct, is when he was like, these two girls, they're already, you would have to walk almost the equivalent of like a football field to get up the escalator into where they were on the bridge. And this is a moving set. It's got a 2 set. And he's like, you think I can't get that number? Hold up. Takes off. Runs up the escalator. Opens his head. All I see is his mouth moving because I'm down on the ground. He's on the 2nd floor. Blah, 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 blah. Phones out. Gets the number. And I was like, all right, I need to step up my fucking game. So, like, he was like, this next week, we're going to do your first direct approach. And you weren't there, but I went out. I was out with the other guy on the cover, Maz. And we were at the, what mall were we at? I think we were at the ghetto mall. What's it called? Meadows Mall? Ghetto Mall?
Boulevard Mall?
No, the one over off of Decatur.
That's
Meadows. I think
Meadows.
We call it Ghetto Mall over here because it's on the west side over here. And we were at the food court, and there was a little Asian girl, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I just need to get through it. And Maz is like holding the camera. I have the video somewhere, but it's all fucked up. It's on like old mini DV cam, so the video quality sucks. But he's like, all right, I'll film you. So I just basically get up. I see her, and he tells me the next girl that walks through the door, that was a little Asian chick, and he's like, all right, go. So I basically stood up, walked over to her, and I was like, hey, I know this is gonna sound completely random and out of the blue. I saw you from over there. I can't stay long. I'm with my friends. I just thought you were super cute. I thought you were adorable, and I wanted to come say hi. And she's like, oh my god, like her eyes lit up, and she takes my hand, and I was like, oh fuck, like I'm this far. And then I still bitched out at that point because I could have took it further, and I was like, all right, I just want to say that, have a good day. Yeah. And then I just kind of left. But that was it. Boom. Like once I passed that barrier, and I was like, well, that wasn't. It was actually kind of easier. And then like I started just doing that, so like all kinds of girls would walk up like, hey, you're just like super cute. I want to come over and say hi. And then and that's how I ended up with Michelle. And I did the same kind of thing at Blue Martini where I met this girl that I ended up dating for 2 years almost. Yeah. And it was like just a direct approach. Like I was like, hey, It looked super cute. She had like this eye glitter on, like green eye glitter. And I was like, oh, I like the eye glitter. Kind of looked like, what the hell did I say? Kind of looked like Alicia Silverstone or something like that. It's cute. Come dance with me.
Yeah.
I just pulled her up. We started dancing, trade numbers, and then, you know, we ended up being like boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. And like those just, it's so fucking easy. It's so fucking easy.
So, and I think one of the reasons why it works, is that I don't think too many guys have the balls just to be very upfront, very direct with women, and I think women desperately want guys.
I think it's counterintuitive too, because like one of the things a lot of students, the first thing they ask is, well, like, what's the magic pickup line? I don't know what it is, but it's got to be something suave, and they're looking for you to teach them some kind of like magical spell or some kind of like
Covert
algebraic
tactics.
equation. Yeah, and it's, hey, I like you. Who are you? What's your name?
Yeah. It's so
fucking
simple.
easy.
And then like, so back then when I was teaching that stuff, that whole time, and you know, even, you know, over here where we got on the cover of Seven magazine, in this cover, I'm still a virgin. And mostly because at the time I was still really Mormon. Like I still had those religious beliefs. Not anymore, but back then it was just, I mean, because I grew up from the age of 2, I grew up Mormon. And growing up, being Mormon, and then once I got exposed to the game, I mean, there was a lot of internal stuff I was wrestling with. And then, you know, some of this typical stuff, because I mean, if you know any Mormons, you know they're like really nice guys, like really nice people. And, you know, I started noticing there was this kind of, I don't know, this weird dynamic where it's like, I'm being very nice to women, but then they keep going with all these jerks and all these fucking whatever. And it was just like, it was fucking me up. I was like, why is it like this? And then, so that, you know, so once I started studying the game and once I started studying kind of the psychology of kind of mating and sexuality and attraction, then I started noticing these other things that aren't anything that I was originally taught in that religion, and it was contradictory. And there was, you know, it took probably by the time I was 22, I basically had to make the decision, and that's also one of the reasons why I didn't really go full force into being a dating coach, because I was really good at teaching. I was really good at like teaching guys how to approach. But once they started asking me like, hey, how do I get laid? How do I escalate all the way to sex? I didn't really feel comfortable because I couldn't teach other guys go all the way because I hadn't been all the way.
And keep it real.
Yeah, so I was
which is funny because he spoke everybody, like getting more numbers, fucking making more approaches and more conversions, I guess you say. Or the ratio of the girls that he would approach and get numbers was like so on point.
Yeah, the conversion rate.
Where like most guys, they have to approach like 20, 30 girls. They make it like 2 or 3 numbers. That doesn't convert. They have to go out again the next night, and it's like you're building more leads, trying to turn those leads into lays, and like. But yours was like, I'm gonna approach. You get the number. Approach. Get the number. Approach. Get the number. Like.
Yeah.
So,
and I think just growing up Mormon and having the approach that I had, I think it definitely helped to a certain extent. Even though I was limiting myself and I wasn't having sex, like, you know, copious amount of sex. I mean, if I was doing that, oh, bro, like, yeah, it would have been a whole different deal.
What changed after? Because I remember when you called me and like you ended up telling me that.
Yeah.
What changed after you? Because I remember you said you were like, it's time to pull the fucking trigger, and like I'm doing all these approaches. It's time to go all the way, and like you kind of had put the past behind you, and I remember like after you. It was like with the Mandalay Bay or whatever, you pulled that one girl and then went all the way, and then I know that like kind of your game like changed after that.
Yeah, so, because I definitely had that dilemma of like, because I mean growing up Mormon, you're taught to, you know, you go through church and then you go on a mission, and then from a mission you get married, and then you get sealed in the temple, and you're basically together for eternity in that religious model. And, you know, I remember I went to like a TEDx talk and I met this guy, Indian guy, and then he was telling me about like, you know, we're sitting over, where were we? I don't know, we're one of these clubs after the TEDx, and we're just hanging out. And he saw like this gorgeous woman walk by, and he's like, yeah, that woman over there, yeah, she's absolutely gorgeous. I can definitely see myself when I was younger. I would have been all over her. But like now, you know, I have my girl, she's pregnant, she's about to have my first kid. And, you know, I look at her and it's like, and it reminds me of all the great times I had being younger, hooking up with all these women. And it was great experiences, and I don't have any regrets. And it was good, but it doesn't call to me anymore. So, and then versus if I would have, and then I didn't tell him I was Mormon, and I was really good at keeping that, like, meeting that truth. And like, that whole time when I was teaching, you never knew I was Mormon, because I made sure no one knew. So, but like, he mentions like, yeah, versus if I would have grown up Mormon, I would have just been really repressed and like, you know, always been...
I didn't know you were Mormon, and the swag and the confidence that you had, and even like, you know, because I had done seminars, and I started always trying to like, I had already made it at this point, and it was like, it's time for me to put, like, I got my wing, I want to put Christian on, I want to put Maz on, I want to put Charles on, put CJ on, and like, even August, I, you know, gave August a mention in there or whatever, like in the magazine, just trying to throw other people's names out, because I'm already here. It's like, let's pull, I'm about a crew that's going to pull each other up. That's how I'm raised. And, you know, when you were doing some seminars and shit with me, it was like the stage presence, the confidence, the techniques that I wasn't just hearing him run his mouth, like I'm with him in the field, seeing him get girls and get numbers. I just didn't know that you hadn't closed it all the way.
Yeah.
It was like more like you're like number collecting, or
Yeah.
what do they call that in that movie, The Pickup Artist with Robert Downey Jr., like cruising, collecting, a collector or something.
Yeah.
So you get their sheet of numbers, like, yeah, I got like 20 girls' numbers, but then there's no like no follow-up.
Yeah, so I mean, and then especially living in Vegas, there's a lot of women from all over the world, so it was plenty of practice, and it was great, but it was at a certain point, you know, when I spoke to this gentleman, he kind of told me his, you know, story about his having no regrets. I really had the dilemma come up. It's like, yeah, do I really just want to get married with one woman and only have one sexual experience for the rest of my life? Or do I want to experience multiple women and have no regrets? And then, so I was thinking about that for like almost like a month. And then eventually I came down to the decision, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go all the way. And I did. And I also turned my back on the Mormon church at the same, because I had, you know, even to this day, I'm like all in. I'm either all one way or, you know, whatever. So, you know, because when I was religious, when I was Mormon, I was like super into it. But then once I left, I was like, I kind of had this feeling of like, you know, whatever consequence, if I go to hell for, you know, sleeping with women, then it is what it is.
How did that feel to you? Like, there had to have been an immense level of pressure for you. Like, you're standing in a room, and then it's almost like you might want those things that other people are talking about.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, man. Like, when we were doing, like, sometimes we would do success stories. I mean, usually, like, at the beginning of a meeting, we'd have a couple guys, and it would be like, hey, I'm kind of standing up there, I'm leading the group, and I'm like, does anyone have any success stories? And I always thought this was a good way to start. Because, you know, we'd do potlucks, and everyone would, like, bring beer and chips, so it was almost like a kickback. Yeah. You know, it was like a group, like a men's group. And, you know, like a guy would raise his hand and be like, you know, I tried one of these techniques, and like one of the guys, he's like 44 and he fucked this 18-year-old virgin. So of course we all give him a standing ovation, because it's like, you're doing it. And like another dude, he's like, he had ended up talking to this girl. He approached her, got his number or her number, and then I don't know, about 2 weeks went by or whatever. She was kind of like blowing him off, but he got her on a date, and like, I don't know. I'd tell them not to go to Olive Garden and take girls out to fucking dinner, but they still don't listen. But apparently it worked for him, and like they ended up being boyfriend and girlfriend. And so of course he still wants to tighten up his game, but it's like now he has a primary. And so of course, you know, you got to clap for that. It's like, good job, you know, you're doing your thing. And then
yeah, I mean, I was really good at like omitting the truth, so I would only express
omitting.
Like, yeah, so you know, I would say, yeah, I was able to approach, I did this and this, and you know how it goes. You know, so I would just kind of like leave it ambiguous. Or if guys would tell me like, oh, how do I, you know, escalate? I'm like, you know, Ryan is really good at escalation. You just, like, so I would always redirect. So, you know, I try to, you know, manage the perception and just kind of, you know, leverage my strengths and then just kind of outsource my weaknesses. So, but I mean, once I made the decision, and by that time, once I made the decision, I was already like, I wasn't doing seminars. I was just kind of doing my thing. And I felt that I didn't really have any like a lot of worldly experience or a lot of experience with women intimately, one-on-one, and especially sexually. So I think I just stopped doing the dating coaching stuff. And then, and yeah, I mean, like, even when by the time I made the decision to pull the trigger and go all the way, I was already testing. I was already really good at approaching, getting numbers, and like even following up on the phone, and then maintaining and keeping that attraction. But then I was also testing like very explicit direct game, and I was, and actually I learned this from Mode 1, and Alan Roger Kurtz, and his stuff took what I was doing and just like put it on steroids, because he's like, not only is he super direct, he's just sexually explicit direct, which I was never exposed to. And even though,
what's that one line that you did? I remember we're in Mandalay Bay and you walk up to that girl and you're like, yeah, this is all great or something, but what I really want to do is put my tongue in between your legs. Like
yeah. So that's a straight up.
You would be like, that would never work. But I watched him do it live and it worked. I didn't do that shit.
So that was directly from Mode 1's approach, and it's very vividly direct and explicit. And then when you go very direct, you definitely weed out the women that are down or not. And then the women who are not down, they'll typically say, wow, you're very bold, like, wow, and it's just like, no thanks, but like I appreciate it. And then I had some women definitely say like, oh my god, wow, you're very bold, like I bet you get slapped a lot. And it's like, never been slapped, but whatever. And then some women will be like, oh really? And then you're just like, oh shit. And so I was even though I was still a virgin, I was testing explicit direct game. And I was just seeing how women would respond. I didn't have any pressure of like, oh, I have to get laid. I was just more in testing, experimenting. So once I was testing those approaches, women were like, the women that didn't light up, and I said, hey, here's the deal, what I really like to do is take you up to your room and have my tongue between your legs. Like, they would be like, oh my god, really? And I was just like, oh shit, like, damn, dude, she's down, but I'm not really down.
Fuck.
So it was just like this weird thing.
Quality problems.
Yeah. But once I made the decision to like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go all the way. The next opportunity I get, I'm just gonna go all the way. And yeah, I was at the Mandalay Bay. My wingman was actually hanging out with the other girl, and she was by herself, and we were dancing. And she ended up being a little bit older than me. I was 22. She was like kind of in her late 30s, but she was fucking fit, bro. Like she was a veterinarian from San Diego, super like into CrossFit, like super in great shape. And we were dancing, and then like I'm making out with her, and I'm kissing on her neck. Oh no, I'm making out with her first. And then after that, I'm like, hey, so here's the deal. What I really like to do is take you up to your room and exchange orgasms. And she kind of was like, whoa, shit. And then I noticed she was kind of like backed a little bit. And I'm like, hey, it's all good. You're a lot of fun. If you just want to dance, we'll just do that. So I try to neutralize that tension that I created. And then we started dancing again. I started making out with her. Started kissing her on her neck. And then I started like amping up her like arousal. And then into a point where she's like, all right, let's go. And then, yeah, we ended up going to like the hotels, like the it's called something else now, but it's like the nicer.
Delago something. The other part of the Mandalay Bay.
So I mean, and that's where I lost my virginity. At 22, I lost my virginity there at one of the.
Damn.
So I know that like me and Ryan have been talking about just kind of sharing all these ideas and kind of getting back into. I'm actually getting back into the coaching stuff, and I got to twist Ryan's arms a little bit, and we're able to kind of create a package of where you get to work with both of us, and it'll be 30 minutes with me, 30 minutes with Ryan, and essentially we're gonna go figure out what's holding you back with your game and your goals with women, and then we'll be able to give you better feedback to help you achieve those goals. So
this is via Skype, so anywhere in the world.
Yeah, so totally international, whether you're in South America, Germany, Canada, New York, Miami, wherever you're at, we'll be able to do a one-on-one Skype call. And on those 30 minutes, with Ryan, 30 minutes with me, 2 for 1. You do more boot camps, like more intense. So
I usually do like live stuff in the field, and
sure.
I do $3,000 for an 8-hour block. Technically, I'll do like a $250 for 2 hours if they're like a novice student, they don't know nothing about the game, I'll kind of, have my coaching, especially, like, I'm not an RSD guy, I'm not a mystery method. My coaching is completely different than community stuff. Like, I've done stuff where I go to a student's house and, like, discovering what's the real core reasons these guys aren't getting girls. And, like, for example, one student, I went to his house, and I walked into his living room, and he had nothing in his living room except like a couch, and then like he had like nothing in his fridge except like the baking soda box and the light bulb. And I was like, well, you bring a girl home, like, what are you gonna do here? And he's like, I just usually like watch Hulu on my phone. Like, I think that she'd probably want to like snuggle on the couch. And I'm like, nah, bro, like, this is not gonna watch Hulu on your fucking phone. Like, so my whole I didn't actually take him out into the clubs to teach him how to pick up girls. I took him to Best Buy, helped him fill out a credit application for a Best Buy card so he could get a TV. Yeah,
so it's like bigger picture of their lifestyle, not just so much like what to say, which will teach you exactly what to say and how to, communicate better with women. But also you got to look at the bigger picture, the bigger package of the experience you're giving women.
It was like mine, like, I do the pickup and seduction stuff, but I'm also like a full lifestyle guru. So I do health, wealth, relationships, lifestyle. But in terms of what we're doing now, we're talking about like a Skype consultation where you guys will be able to talk to me for half an hour. You'll be able to talk to Christian and basically tell us your sticking points. We'll give you feedback on what we think might help you to step up your game. And it's real easy. I mean, you guys just hit the, you're going to do a link below.
Yeah, so there's going to be like an application or something below. Fill that out. And then from there, we'll figure out what sticking points you have. And then, I think, what is it, 97 to get both of us, the 2 for 1. So essentially it'll be an hour of coaching, but you'll get both of our perspectives. So we're doing this for a limited time, so we're not going to do it for too long. As long as this video is still up, we might be taking it down pretty soon. So if you're interested, if you're really serious about getting this area of your life handled, getting outside of your comfort zone, becoming comfortable, being uncomfortable, and helping you push outside of your limits of what you think is possible. But I mean, there's so much more that I can see for you, and like my vision for you is to be able to become just a confident man that attracts more women, gets more numbers, seduces more women, and have them love you for it. So if you're interested, if that's what the life that you want to have, and if you're sick or tired of being stressed out and frustrated with women, and you want to have success now versus, maybe happening in 10 years from now, let's get into action. Fill out the application form below, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Oh, I want to add one more thing, even, because a lot of people, one of the biggest objections I get from guys are like, well, you teach pickup, but like, I want a relationship.
Yeah.
So, of course, we do that as well, and just for you guys that are in that state of mind, you have to understand, if you want a girlfriend, you gotta fuck her. You have to still seduce her, and that comes from pickup. And the best thing to do is handle that part of the game. Learn pickup, learn seduction, learn how to approach women, get the girl in bed, and at that point, you have a lot better chance with that girl of making her your girlfriend if you've already had sex with her. The girlfriend's like, I'm already having sex with this guy. I like him. I like the way he makes me feel. He just asked me to be his girlfriend. I'm going to be his girlfriend. Yeah. But you're trying to say, like, you just want to get a girlfriend without having sex with her, without picking her up. It's not going to happen. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and it's also a lot of deep programming. So, a lot of the stuff I do specifically, it's deep pro. Because, I came from a very strict religious cult. Most people aren't going to call the Mormon cult for what it is. But, I grew up in that environment. Looking back now, I've been out of that religion for years now. But like now I see all the programming, the negative reprogram I had to do in myself. Yeah. So I'm really big on internal inner game, making yourself strong and overcoming all these limiting beliefs that at the time I wasn't aware how strong these limiting beliefs. But like now that I've been out of it, I can see other people's limiting beliefs and I can help them overcome, reframe them, eliminate them so they don't feel stuck and restricted in their lives. So it's just about having more personal freedom, having more success with women, and just expressing yourself, not limiting yourself. So, yeah, if you're definitely ready and wanting to step up your game and have more success, then you know what to do.
We'll do it by what, credit card?
Yeah, so just fill out the application, fill out
What if they're what if the guys are worried about the security of their giving their credit card out?
Yeah, so I mean everything's through PayPal, so you can process that securely. It's like the highest SSL certification locked in, so you should be all set from there. So I think the main application page is through seductiontriggers.com, and then once you go through there, then you just fill out that form, and everything's secure through PayPal essentially, which is one of the industry standards for payment processing.
That's what I use.
So, but yeah, just keep it simple, and then from there we'll definitely exchange value. So, $97, not that much money. If you can't, if you can't pay rent with that, if you spending $97 right now is going to prevent you from paying rent, do not purchase our services, because this is not for you. But this is for you if you have your life together and you want to create more relationships with women, have better quality, and you feel you're spending too much time and money on women, and you're not getting any real success with women and any benefits. This is going to save you so much more time and money down the road that you would be wasting on women that just
these guys are spending money on dinners and drinks. I don't know when the last time girls buy me dinners and drinks. Girl bought my car, clothes. Girls have paid my rent. Girls have paid for my flight to. I meet them in Las Vegas at a bar. They live in Ohio or whatever. They're paying for my flights. Like, and then we got guys that are paying $100, $200 for a dinner date, and then they're not getting laid. It's a problem. When you could reinvest that money, that's going to give you the coaching and the training that you need to become successful with women in dating.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
So so if you're ready to step up your game and make that investment in yourself and start to really develop yourself into a man that you're capable of, so you can have more success with women, take action now. Don't let these old limiting beliefs hold you back anymore.
Absolutely.
So, fuck yeah.
See you guys. Peace.